Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Tales from the Ship. I'm thrilled to have my brother Franco DeNicola back. How are you, Franco? How have you been?
Good, good. Thank you. I'm busily trying to share our
Yeah, go ahead.
our feed, but yes, no, absolutely. I'm on your. I'm just trying to see if it went on my page yet, but I'm still looking for it.
Yes.
But no, it's a thrill to get together with you. I know that we ended up changing our time, but it all works out the way
It
it needs
all
to.
works out. Yeah, it was a
Exactly.
weekend for everybody, for me, for you, um, and I'll tell you, since last time we spoke, since our last show, that was last year,
Hmm.
if I'm not mistaken, isn't it? It was at the beginning of this year. I think it
You
was at the
know,
beginning.
interesting enough, I thought it
It
was
was
the
like
beginning of the year.
January.
Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't see. It wasn't that long. I don't. Well, it's been a few months for sure, but
Right.
it wasn't something I would say. A year from now. From
Right,
last year or something like that. Yes.
right. So, and the one. Okay, Kama, I have several questions for you since last time we spoke. Okay, and
Okay.
one of the questions that I wanted to ask you is, where are we? Are we on? We're no longer in 3D. Are we in 4D? Are we in 5D? Are we more in 4D than 5D, or more in 4D than 3D? Where are we in terms of the dimensions?
Well, the thing is, we can't look at the whole thing and say we're all at one place because right now we have several things working at the same time. We have organic 5D, we have organic 3D, you know.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, so we have organic 3D. We also have inverted 3D, inverted 2D. All of it is running at the same time. So we're all basically at this point. Where are we? Where are we in the sense of our own frequency and focus? So
Right.
there's people that have chosen to play only in the 5D and, with the intermittent visits into the organic 3D and organic or inverted 3D and 2D. And there's others that have made a choice that they're not ready for 5D, but they want to play organic 3D. So they're putting their main focus in organic 3D. And then you have the ones that are basically not interested in going either one right yet, and they're still playing in the inverted world. So this is why you see many splits at this point. But
Yeah.
what's interesting is that what ends up happening with us is that as we are playing the game, okay, depending on what programs come up, what stories come up, how our vibration shifts by certain triggers or emotions or whatever it is, will shift us could be from organic 5D to organic 3D, and also going into the inverted version of it. So all of it is open for us. Now, the reason we have all of that, Andres, is so that we get to complete all the stuff that we want to complete, so that we're not, just limited to the way we were playing before.
Mm-hmm.
For
Correct.
example, yeah. So it's kind of how can I say it? When we are looking at the thing is, we all have uncompleted stuff in a sense. And when I say incompleted, meaning that we didn't really get to the point of saturation and say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm ready for something different. So what we end up doing is that we bounce around as we have our experiences. So you'll notice, like, for example, people will end up having, if they get entangled or they get to be triggered by other people or get involved in, say, a family dynamics of some sort that's playing still very deeply in the inverted matrix or the inverted 3D, even though the matrix is not there, but we're still projecting it into the organic, which reflects us what looks like inverted.
Correct.
What happens is you adjust your vibration and you lower your threshold of your frequency, because we all have a frequency range that we work in. Once you've fully saturated that and used up the full amount of our range of frequency and we're ready to go to the next, we can shift into a different frequency. Now, the frequency will also dictate where our home base is in what we call organic 3D or organic 5D or in the inverted stuff.
Right.
So what ends up happening is that if you go in and you start playing the inverted 3D game with your family and you get all entangled in that, guess what? You're going to now automatically shift into that inverted world. And you're going to notice that everything around you feels, and yeah, it may match what the family's playing out, but you will also notice that you're now, what you had access to before actually reduces. And what reduces is your capacity to see it. So I don't know if you've ever had the experience, Andres, when you're playing with certain people that are inverted 3D, you have a difficulty bringing forth that higher consciousness. It's almost like it doesn't come out of you because the words are not there. The thoughts are kind of, because you're getting really deeply immersed in that. And there's nothing wrong with it, but for us to observe it, then we notice where we're at, in the sense of going, oh, I'm getting entangled here. This is where I'm playing. What is my preference? Where do I choose? Now, the one thing we got to keep in mind is that preference is not judgment. Preference is a preference where I prefer to be playing with here, but have no judgment where you're at, no judgment where anybody else is at, no judgment on what the main game of the planet is expressing right now. So when we're looking at it, we're like kind of all over the map, and it's very intensified. So you can see, the polarities really being emphasized. All the role players, even the ones that are in, say, what you can call governmental or whatever else, being extremely polarized and extremely chaotic and nonsensical for one reason: to assist us to be able to kind of open our eyes, wake ourselves up, and also reach a saturation point and say, okay, this is not where I want to play any longer because I'm done with that.
Right.
And it's not about, I hate this. I'm just done with that. And I'm done because it doesn't entertain me anymore. It doesn't feel in alignment with me. It doesn't feel natural for me. And that's really the part that's the most powerful for us to shift. So going back to your question, where are we? Yes, of course, collectively, we are increasing, but we're not in any of those yet.
So the planet is no longer 3D, is that correct?
Well, we're no longer inverted 3D.
Right.
Yes. We can play there. So the inverted matrix is gone. The inverted 3D and 2D support is gone, in the sense that there's nothing supporting it. And you have to understand that our ego is a software program that works in the inverted matrix, or at least projected the inverted matrix, and also projected the inverted 3D and 2D. So just to bring clarification, and I know people that have been listening to my work have gotten to a deeper understanding that, but when people say we're going from 3D to 5D, in actual fact, that's not correct. We are going from inverted 2D, inverted 3D, to organic 3D and organic 5D, with a little bit of a bridging of organic 4D, which is really not a platform. It's just a bridging. You really can't settle there.
I was about to ask you that because you keep mentioning 5 and 3. I was like, where's 4 in all this?
Yeah, it's not of interest at this point in time, because four has some things in it, but it's not where we have chosen. It's like, I can go from grade 3 to grade 5, no problem, because I don't need really grade 4. But at the same time, I can pick up some extra courses while I'm there if I want to, but I'm not going to make that my home residence. That's all it is. So really, what's happening is that the way it's playing out, look at it this way. When you see everything backwards, when the truth is made into a lie, what is real information is made into conspiracy, and what is, backward conspiracy is made real. If you look at the media, you look at everything that's projected, it's still very powerfully projected that inverted world, that inverted matrix, inverted 3D and 2D. All of our story, all of our history, and when I say history, our own personal history and the collective history is still very reflective of that inverted world where everything is backwards. So that's what we're purging right now. We're purging it in our lives. We're purging it in the game that we see as our reality. because our reality is our personal reality, and then we have different levels of extended reality. And those extended reality is, in your home playground, meaning your family dynamics, the extended family, your work environment, your whatever environment that you're playing with. And then it expands bigger and bigger to your community, to your country, or in this case, whatever you are, state or province or whatever it is, country, and beyond to the global, the world scape. So right now, to assist people to get to a saturation point, that the inverted is still very active. It's not supported by Gaia. It's not supported by transmission, but it's just because of old ideas, programs, belief systems, perceptions, and patterns that we have in ourselves that's still reflecting of the inverted matrix, or what we call the inverted 3D, 2D. So you notice that as we become clearer within ourselves, you will see that as we're doing that, a lot of things start to shift in us. We start to become more crystal clear of where we want to use our home base. Now, there's already been decisions made for people to be fully organic, 5D, and dabble on the other part, but they only have until the end of 2022 to finish that, because then the inverted stuff will be completely non-accessible any longer. That's the commitment we made on a global scale.
So in 2022, that's when the real split is what we're going to see.
Well, the end of 2022, before we enter 2023, we'll only see the two worlds. We're not going to be crossing anymore from organic 3D to organic 5D, but the inverted 3D and the inverted 2D and all that inverted stuff it's no longer even in existence. Right. And that's why we're going through these powerful, accelerated transformations within ourselves. This is why these energies are coming in so strong. All these encodements, the adjustments in our body, adjustments of how we see, feel, experience emotionally and otherwise, energetically, and everything is changing for us. And this is why we may feel, ups and downs and intensities. And depending on how deep you are, you may feel pretty emotional. And even the people that are so hardcore, nothing bothers me, are getting caught up in sort of an energetic avalanche and emotional avalanche and so forth, right?
So, Franco, remember last year when in one of our sessions, you say that we agree, because I agree with you, the all timelines were aligned on one. We were in the creation year last year, so all timelines were unified. So where are we in terms of the timelines right now, brother? Are they separating, or are we still in singularity? I'm talking of one timeline, and it's only our consciousness that separate from the other. So what do you have in that?
When we're looking at personally, we have only one timeline. We've collapsed it all.
Okay.
But the thing is, it's a flexible timeline, meaning that the timeline is open platform. So you can plug in anything you want and remove it very easily. It's not stagnant. It's not fixed. Where before, the timelines were already pre-designed with very small variants.
Yeah.
So we would, depending on our vibration, our frequency, and so forth, we would shift into different timelines.
Yes.
But now we only have the one wave timeline, which basically is much more flexible, but nothing is fixed. That's why now you live moment by moment. There is no future, where before you had multiple futures, multiple choice points. But now there's no future. You're building it 1 minute at a time. So this is the thing, because we're changing so quickly with all of this. And the reason it was done this way, Andre, is because the fact is that's the only way we can make massive progress and move so quickly, because we chose as a collective to really ramp this up. So that way we kept it. If I need something, say, what looks like a negative experience, I can plug it in, experience it, and it dissolves right away. It's no more, it's all fixed in that timeline. I got to go through it. People used to label that as karma. No, that's plug it in, unplug it. It's all, and it doesn't matter what we're doing. On a collective scale, we have a few timelines that are going on. The one is going to be the new timeline, which is basically anybody that's playing in the organic 5D has that kind of timeline. But the timeline has no, it's still being built as we're going along collectively. Right. So all the players in the organic 5D are building it. Then we have a third one, what we call organic 3D, the second one, organic 3D, that's been built also for, there is no platform for organic 4D. There is no platform.
Okay. Okay.
You can tap into it and plug it into either one. Yes, you can do that, but there's not a fixed platform, and there's no more platform for the inverted 3D or 2D or the inverted matrix. So right. That's all gone. However, we can still replicate it. We can still project it. We can still do certain things that to express that old version of ourselves by right. just tuning into it and so forth. And this is what's happening. Now, we also have one other thing to throw in as the caveat here, is that we have multiple aspects of ourselves, multi-parallel versions of ourselves on mm-hmm. so many different platforms, but those are simulations. So we are choosing to play here, but we have multiple simulations, which a lot of us don't realize that we do test simulations, because at times what ends up happening is you put stuff down and you whatever it is, and all of a sudden, what happened? Everything is, what you had done or whatever it is gone, or something else shows up or something of that nature, or that, you're actually looking at something different. So what you've done is you've gone to one of the simulations to see what that looks like before you plug it into this experience, because this is where we're putting the focus on, is this particular experience. Now, the parallels may look very similar, but it operates at different frequencies and different vibrations, but also different things exist there that are slightly different. They may not be majorly different, but slightly different. But you'll also notice when you're there that certain individuals may act or play or communicate with you very different than what you've probably spent a lot of time with. For example, you can go into one of these simulations and have a so-called person that's going to be not so nice to you, for example.
Right.
In another one, you get very nice. And then the one you go, okay, great. I just got what I needed there. The reason we're doing that is so that we don't have to actually create it in this chosen spectrum, so that, because if we do, it moves very slowly, because we're going to if you're going to build a world, build an experience, a reality, you're going to be in the reality, and then you have to change the reality. But you don't want to be going into that deeper reality. You just want to get a taste of it. So what are you going to do? If you want to watch something, you can turn on the TV and you watch a movie or a show, whatever, and you have that particular experience. So when you're going into these parallel worlds, it's not quite the movie, but you can step into another version of yourself and other playmates, have that experience, and then come back to here and be able to implement any of it if it feels, something you want to. So what that does is gives us the opportunity to have many, many different experiences very quickly, so that we are still moving forward. And that's why this particular timeline is not fixed anymore. And because the fact is, I can bring in any part I want, but I just had a simulation in one of my simulation parallel worlds, and yeah, that was pretty cool. So let me plug a version of that in there, and that's how we advance very quickly. So that's kind of the fun part about the whole thing.
You have this open platform, and you got to experience anything that you want technically in this open platform. We still. And my mind, I thought that we were like, okay, I think somebody's reporting from 3D, and I'm in 5. This is my perception. This is, and because it's nothing in between, it's so dramatic. It's like the world is going to the end, and for some people, it's nothing by rainbow and unicorns. So that's why it's so dramatic.
Yes.
It's very drastic it's very dramatic, the change.
Yeah,
This-
what's interesting in that though, so that you understand,
right.
the dramatic part does not exist so much between the organic 3D and 5D. The organic 3D and 5D are already fairly conscious. The only difference is one focuses more on a physical experience. The other, organic 5D, focuses more on the spiritual with the physical. That's the difference. The dramatics is when you cross over to the inverted 3D and inverted 2D and in the inverted world, because that's still very much saturated within our experience. That's dramatic. That you see, oh my God, it's going to hell in a handbasket or whatever it is. You kind of see the craziness. So the craziness is all over, but it's the inverted. Now, I know people ask me, well, I thought the inverted matrix is gone. It is. Absolutely. It's been gone for over a year and a half or more. If not even more than that. Oh, well, not quite 2 years yet. But anyways, it's been gone. However, the beauty of it, to give us time to transition and time to get our feet, grounded in, or ourselves grounded in that playground, the organic matrix has been responding to us what we are requesting. So if we're going into a state where we're playing out the inverted game within our state of consciousness, or our triggers and emotion, then the organic matrix says, I have a separate channel for you here. Have more of that inverted. That inverted is for you to get your saturation point. But that, as far as I understand, and I've been told, and we've been discussing this on a collective scale, that terminates at the end of 2022. So at the end of 22, before going into 2023, the organic matrix will no longer reflect that inverted. It will say, no, that's it. We're staying in these channels.
And in terms of the timeline, in 2022, there won't be any more variants, right?
Well, not into the inverted, no. And there'll be a variance between organic 3D and organic 5D. That will last until now. Of course, we have the option to move at any time, but that'll last until 2035.
Okay.
For organic 3D only. So organic 3D has to be completed by 2035, because then it merges into organic 5D. So the only thing that will exist is organic 5D. And organic 5D at that point, for that 5-year window, 2035 to 2040, there'll be a fast tracking of everybody aligning so that everybody is at organic 5D or above in its access of consciousness. So the organic 3D was the only reason that was put in is because there was a lot of souls and a lot of people that said, we never got to experience the organic 3D. We only got to experience the inverted stuff, because for the last 10,000 years, we've been living in the inverted world, right? Everything's backwards, right?
Right.
And the disconnect and so forth. So, and the polarity, because the inverted created polarity, separation, isolation, and kind of created such a disconnect that we didn't know how powerful we were and what we were even capable of, and really how, what we have at our disposal to do. So that was all in that 10,000 year window that we, have agreed now to wrap up. And that's what we're doing. So that's the point. Now, if anybody's in organic 3D, for example, and they get to the point where, okay, I'm done with this, they can leave. They can go into organic 5D. It's no problem. You can shift. You just can't go really right back afterwards. You just say, okay, once you crossed over, you crossed over. Now, there's a bouncing of all three, right? The inverted world, the organic 3D and organic 5D capacities. Now, approximately, I don't know what the latest numbers are, but up to a couple of months or so ago, there was still only 550 million people that had made a commitment to use their base operating system in organic 5D. Then there was like a 2.5 billion, a 2.4 to 2.5 billion that had committed to to play in organic 3D. The rest, not interested. We want to stay in an inverted world. And then when it's done, we'll leave.
I totally believe that. There is people that really want to stay in the inverse 3D, brother. I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, it's being catered to that for whoever wants to play there. Now, eventually, what ends up happening, from what I understand and from what I've seen and what I've been privy to, which we all know from within, all of that part of it will fade away. We won't even see it anymore eventually. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when we're getting into 2023, you barely see it. When we continue further, that doesn't even, not only there's no access, those people that were playing there won't even stay in your reality anymore. In fact, that you probably won't even remember them in most cases for that they even existed. You have to understand still 64% are extras.
I was about to ask you about that. Are those variants extras?
What do you mean by variant?
Created in the Nexus timeline, fake timelines.
Yeah, they're created in different timelines and they're projected, okay? But they are basically, at this point in time, they're only playing one role, and that's to play that inverted world. So they were the extras plugged in to play that older world. Now, they're helping us because they will represent that inverted world very strongly so that we make a concrete choice that we're going to not participate there any longer. Eventually, they will leave, meaning they won't exist. Now, that doesn't mean all of them will be gone. A good chunk of them, yes, but a portion of them will have, other souls that will drop into them because they don't have a specific signature soul and a specific signature human entity. They basically work from the collective and they're there to serve and play a particular role. So they're not interested in growing, advancing, or anything of that nature. They're just very good at playing that role, right? But, but the ones that have chosen to play in the organic 3D and 5D will actually be the ones that are actually moving. Now, some of the extras, because of their makeup and everything else, there'll be souls that can choose to drop in, and then they will participate in organic 3 or organic 5D. Mainly, from what I understand, they're going to focus mainly to go to 5D. So the souls that are going to come in are ready to go into organic 5D, not so much organic 3D if they're going to step in. And those are drop-ins.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So if an extra decide to move into the 5th dimension, are new souls going to walk in there? Because I understand they don't have any souls, right?
Correct. They don't have a specific signature soul. They're only from the collective soul from, say, humanity on the planet. So they basically operate on what the collective is providing as a sense. So they don't have a specific signature. There's two parts to it. There's the multidimensional soul, and then there is the human-based soul, which we call human entities. Okay, so the human entity is a soul that is basically only incarnates on planet Earth. We have both normally, and then we have the multidimensional soul, which comes from everywhere, anywhere, everywhere, depending, And then some are very specific. They are considered star seeds or indigos or whatever, but those are just ones that are prepared to play a particular role, and they're bringing their experience on the planet. So yes, the extras that are going to be still viable,
right?
They can take on a human entity and a soul as embodied or drop-ins, and then they can now participate in organic 3D or organic 5D.
Okay, I got two more questions about the extras, brother, from the public as well. Okay. One is, how can we know which are the extras in the planet?
Well, how you can tell, it depends on who you want to look at. If you look at people, say even in the eyes, for the first one, I could say you look in somebody's eyes and they look like they're glazed over. There's really, the lights are on, nobody's home type of scenario.
Right.
You can tell that they're not very active in that response. The other way you can tell from how they play the role, they're really not accessing really any serious self-individualized consciousness. They will just mimic or repeat what the collective is providing. And sometimes they'll repeat something that you said, but then they don't have any other thing they can say at that point.
Not very creative. Not very creative. Yeah.
Correct.
Lack of creativity. That's
Yeah.
a good one.
Yeah. So that's how you can tell, now some people that are very tuned, have a very good, opened sense of feeling people. You can feel who has a different, more complete, holistic energy of themselves and who doesn't. You can kind of sense, oh, this is an extra, this is an active participant. Usually the active participant is more self-thinking, does not rely so much also on what the collective says.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And they normally question things. They, play a particular role, and they are consistent. If they just give you little excerpts, they're just basically used to send you a message. That's all. They choose to send you a message, but they're not deriving it from themselves. They're deriving it from the collective. So, yeah. And the other thing is the extras, they will play whatever role you require. And that's it, and there's no, questioning of any sort. They, if you need somebody to kick your ass, they will kick your ass. If they need somebody to kind of, play a particular role, that's what they'll play.
It makes a lot of sense. Extras can have babies, of course.
Yes, absolutely. And then the other thing is,
what would happen with the babies? I'm sorry to cut you off. What would happen with the baby? Do the baby will be an extra too?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Ah.
Okay, say there's two people that are active. They're not extras.
Okay.
They have, say, 3 kids. You can have 2 that are active, and 1 could be an extra.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes parents, when they're tuning in, they can tell which kid it is. I'm not saying that's always the case, but I'm just saying that does happen. And then sometimes they're coming from extras, and they will they'll come through. Like, for example, my father was an extra, my mother was not, and I came out an alien. What the hell? But the difference was. And I'm not trying to be mean to my father, because he was he played his role perfect. Okay. But he was very good in staying hardcore in the role that he played. You can tell. I used to call him a caveman. I didn't tell him to his face, but when somebody asked him, he said, well, how's your mother? I go, my mother's very superstitious, all caught up in the religion and stuff like that, but I can see and sense of soul in it. My father's just a caveman. And when I used to say that, it was because he was an extra, and it didn't matter how you communicated with him. Like, he was on one track and one track only. Right. His focus was eating, drinking. He'd go to work and do whatever he wanted to do in that regards. And there was not a conversation you could have of anything more than that. That was it. He played his role. Right. So, and it was great because it gave me the opportunity to understand someone caught up in that, but also somebody coming in as an extra, because you could look in his eyes and I could sense, wow, there's nobody there, right? Not only that, but sometimes when I experimented with him, and when I say experiment, I would have a conversation with him, and he would look at your eye, he would look at you, and it was like glazed over. It's like, not computing, whatever I was saying, right? But if I said something on the terms that he understood, then he would compute, meaning, we got to go do this, right? And that's it. He would get that. So that you get used to it once you start paying attention to it. The one thing I want to say is never demise it, because they are off service, and they're not here by accident.
Correct.
They come here to play a particular role. And when I say come here, it's an offering from Gaia, and it's an offering from the collective souls and from the collective human entity to aid the active souls and active human entities that are coming through.
Brother, I want to suggest everybody to watch a Salma Hayek movie called Bliss.
Bliss?
It's about the extras.
Oh, okay.
Bliss. Bliss.
Oh, Bliss.
Watch
Okay,
that
yeah.
movie. It's the entire movie talks about the extras. How can she can see interdimensionally and technically tell people, "Oh, that's an extra. That's not real. He's not real. Don't worry about it." Stuff like that. He's just playing his role. Everything that you're explaining is in that movie.
Yes,
I'm
perfect.
telling you.
I
You know,
gotta
I
check
always
that out.
pay attention on the movies. I always pay attention on the movies because they always disclose something.
Exactly.
Always. Some people get upset with me because, like, Andres, you watch too much movies. I don't think that it's because I'm always paying attention. Or what are they going to disclose with the new Black Widow?
Yeah.
That how they actually, I don't want to spoil it for everybody if you haven't seen it, but it's technically mind control. And that's what they're disclosing. How do they going to control? How do they want to control the mind? The transhumanism. Make it's all about that. It's all about what we're actually living on.
Yep.
With the jab and how do they try to, make humans into being transhumans, make them obey without any
Resistance or
resistance. Thank you. And that's my next question to you, brother. Where is everything? Where is the people that take the jab, feed and all this um, 5 dimension organic or 3D organic? What's going on with them? What is going to happen with them per se?
well, if they've chosen to be organic 5D, they have no interest whatsoever for the jab or anything of that nature. They
Right.
wouldn't even give power to all of the game
I
that's
see.
playing out. Yeah. The organic 3D is, most of them do not put much credence in following those rules either. There's going to be a few that may get wrapped up in it. And that's that. Usually it's the ones that are extras or want to become extras, because there are people that become extras. They had a soul and then they become soulless. And that's the choice that they make, because the soul says, I'm done with this. I'm not interested anymore. The human entity pulls out. Now, what ends up happening is the jab is to create. This is on your show. I never said this yet to anybody.
Okay.
Okay. The jab ends up helping a lot of the souls to say, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not going to stick it out. And they become extras.
I see.
Now, they weren't extras before. Now, normally that would only happen if you're in organic 3D or below, really mainly below, because there are some that, kind of spend so much time in the inverted. And this is why it's important to decide and really focus on it, because a lot of times we get caught up in the idea that, I have family here, I have this and that, and I got to play the game to their terms or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Then that becomes very opens you up to the possibility to kind of go a direction that you may not have decided to do before. So right. This is where the attention comes. Now there's several things with the jab. Yes, it will aid in vacating. If you already are not vacated, meaning that leaving the how can I say it? The soul's leaving, the soul's and the human entity leaving, and then you're just connected to the collective. So that's one part. The other part is that how can I say? The ones that are doing it are basically just showing that polarity, and then they may have negative reactions or see themselves even more disconnected, to kind of get the active ones to say, oh, no, we're gonna stay true to ourselves and we're not going to go down that path. Now, there are going to be some of the souls that will be okay doing the jab and playing out a particular role, maybe show no symptoms or some symptoms. Some will use it to exit or whatever it is. But one of the things that the Galactic had said, and even Team Earth, the Earth playmates that I have, and they've shared it with others too, I would imagine. They're not giving me exclusivity to anything, but they do share it. They have said that basically if they play a particular role of some sort and they have chosen at some point that they're no longer required, especially when it comes to the children, that they will, right now there's nothing to reverse it. But they have said that by the end of 2022, entering into 2023, that they will, the ones that said, okay, I don't want any of these effects, they will send certain frequencies to turn off all of the,
AI.
RNA stuff and so forth that's been active, so that they would not be impeded any longer. That's not going to be across the board. That's going to be based on ones that have truly made a commitment. Yeah, okay, I played that role for my family. I did this or I did that, whatever it was, but I'm now ready to negate, turn that off. I'm not going to.
Let me see if I understood. Because there is teenagers that get in jab, the injection. Some of them are actually against their will because their parents wants to take them. Those are the souls that I'm worried about. I'm not worried about the ones that they already choose to put it on. I'm just a little sad for those that they're getting without their consent.
Yeah. Some will use it to become extras. Some will use it to check out or create some particular scenario, but others are only doing it to appease whatever's going on because they're not at that rock solid state of being self-empowered. And those are the ones that will be the candidates that will receive the reversal process.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see. So there is actually a little hope for those that.
Well, yes, absolutely. It's not, right now they're not offering it. They're not offering it because they want everybody to be have that full experience and go into the self-empowered state. See, right now, it's so important for anybody at this point to be rock solid within themselves and say, okay, I choose this or I don't choose this. It doesn't matter what the media says. It doesn't matter who's saying what. We have a lot of power, a lot of capability to turn on, turn off any influence by others. Okay. The thing is, you mentioned something earlier. We have free will. I know you didn't mention the free will, but you kind of back end did mention it.
Absolutely.
We have free will.
We still have it, right?
Absolutely. Never went away, ever.
Okay.
And not only we have free will, we have sovereignty, absolute sovereignty. No one can take it away. And it doesn't matter how dark, how polarized, whatever is going on. It doesn't matter what being comes on the planet. It doesn't matter who's doing what. It cannot be taken away. That is a law of sorts, if you want to call it that. It's an infringement that it cannot exist. Okay, that was made very clear right from source essence. That we never take away from anyone. Period. Right. Doesn't matter where you embody. Now, this is the reason that there's so much emphasis on programming, conditioning, in every which way, because it's showing us what it's doing. It's putting pressure, not pressure, but it's training us. We have the freedom to choose. We get trained how to use our free will and to play in disempowerment because we're already empowered. We're already a sovereign being, but we can choose, or in this case, get convinced as a choice, convinced to live an unconscious state for a period of time or permanently, whatever. And when I say permanently, until the body's no longer here. But this is the thing. This is why education, the media, all of the systems, all of the corporations, whatever you want to call it, all of these structures and systems that exist are what? Like you said, brainwashing, convincing, right. This is the way life works. Because that's the only way. You cannot just turn around and say, I'm going to turn Andres into a puppet and he's just going to do whatever. It doesn't work that way. I will offer and I will convince him if he chooses. And if I convince him well enough,
Yeah.
then he can choose to say, okay, I'll play the
Propaganda.
game.
Propaganda.
You still have the opportunity to come turn it off afterwards and say, I had it. See ya. Not interested. I'm not going to continue playing with it. That's that you have that freedom too. So that's how it really works. And this is, see, the key here. The key here is in all of this, we can turn on and turn off any part of it
Right.
at any time. If humanity at a certain scale says, we're done with this game, period. We love it, thank it, appreciate it, but it's done. It all shuts off.
Yeah.
This whole thing, I know we got convinced, most people got convinced that every change is difficult. Every change takes a tremendous amount of effort. Okay?
Right.
That everything that plays out on the planet at this point in time takes a long time, takes all these sequences and so forth. Say with money, say with government, say with whatever. Because if we, on a collective scale, and I don't mean everybody, a larger part of it, and says, we're done. What are you going to say? You're going to say, hey, government, see you later. You're done. Because they cannot supersede, they cannot influence, they can't do anything. They can only play a particular role. And we agree to play the role because we got convinced that they have power. The power is fictional. The authority is fictional. The fact that we have rules of that's all we can do, and we have an economy, we have this and that, they're all fictional.
Yep.
But we made it look like it's true. So that fictionality, it's like saying, oh, we owe trillions of dollars in the States to who? It's all fictional. The money is fictional. All of these perceived values are fictional. Everything is fictional. It's part of the game. Yeah, we chose to play the game, but we can turn on any part of it. So the moment we turn around and say, you can do whatever you like, but we're not supporting this any longer, you don't even have to go into fight. A lot of people, you probably heard it lots of time, Andre, we got to fight the system. We got to fight these corruptions. We got to fight that. No, because then you're still playing in their range. You're still, once you have fighting, you're there. You have to go to their level to fight. So the point is, you don't fight. You basically say, no, we no longer not only support it, we don't that, but we're not even going to go there.
Yeah.
Then they lose their power because there's nobody to fight them. It's especially if you see them in appreciation and love, they don't know how to respond to that because they're only conditioned to see resistance. Resistance I can fight with, but once somebody doesn't resist, they have no power. So, like, say a victimizer, say, well, a victimizer can't victimize unless somebody chooses to play the victim.
Yes, exactly.
Nobody can be empowered over you unless you want to play disempowerment, and then you welcome them in, even though you may not be conscious of it, but you're welcoming them in.
Yeah. Yes. This is yeah, and that's what I've been telling everybody on this channel. The acceptance. Take the information as awareness, be aware of the information, and don't fall into the propaganda, because it's all about it's about you making you consent.
Correct.
It's all about consenting. So, everything that we do,
they have to have consent.
You're watching TV. If you have cable in your house, you have the consent of the terms and regulations. It's all about their consenting. So have awareness once you're awake. Have the awareness of consenting, how much you're going to consent, how much you're not going to consent. That's what will make you free. That's what will free you. That's going to make you free will.
Yeah, the one of the first freedom is that you know that you have free will. Second of all, that you're a sovereign being. Third is that I have the freedom to consent or non-consent, and I can change my mind too. That's the other thing. And when I say change your mind, you can change whatever agreement you may have made. Okay. Okay. I agreed to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not interesting anymore. I choose no longer to play the game. And I'm choosing no longer to consent. So I may have consented, but I'm reversing my consent.
Can you um choose or can you place sovereignty over your younger children? As Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
No,
if I
please.
have kids,
Uh-huh.
I can always says I do not consent for the dog to hurt my children. Can you place in terms? Can you ask the cosmos or the creator to since you're awake and your children are children, just make sure that they don't get touched by external forces. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, you can make that statement for yourself for saying, okay, I prefer my children not to be affected by this or anything of that nature. And you can communicate with your children and so
Okay.
forth. But they ultimately are the ones that either listen to you or listen to that. Now look at how many kids the parents don't want them to be vaccinated, and guess what? Or the VED or whatever, the jab. And here you are, there's kids going in and saying, oh, now they're saying you can go up to 11 years old or something like that. You can still go to the jab without getting your parents' consent. So the point is the child still has to consent themselves. Now, a parent can say, hey, this is what I've noticed. You can share your consciousness and so forth, but it's really up to them if they
I see.
choose. Yeah. How many parents have kids that have chosen to go do that, young or whatever? There's parents that chose to do that, and the kids will not, agree to it, because a child, you think, okay, that's a small body, they're only a little kid or whatever else. They can still transmit so powerfully into the parent saying, I do not consent, and the parent gets it and basically says, no, I'm not gonna jab my child.
Right. It's true. Yeah, you cannot choose for anybody.
No, and sometimes what ends up happening is the child will say, okay, you're not getting it, mom and dad, all right, go ahead. And then I'm going to have a really negative reaction, and I'm going to scare the shit out of you so that you finally start questioning something, if that's the case. And that happens, absolutely. But then those are the kids that have the capacity also, because they've only chose to play it for the parents' awakening, to turn it back off. And then, of course, when the new codes come in, it wipes it out anyways, because they've already said, I'm only taking it on to play this particular role for my parents only. It's not because I want to have that experience for myself.
Right. Right. Sadly, that's the way it is.
Well, is it sadly, I look at it and I say, okay, we're
Well, of
really,
course.
we're really, really, really accentuating every part of it. And we're just like making sure that everything stands out in a very powerful way. And this is why right now there are people on one side, there's people on the other side, people that are swinging back and forth. You have massive amount of polarity going on. But you've probably noticed this, Andres, and a lot of people have too, is that even the what do you call it? The propaganda, like you were saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Even the propaganda and the deliverer of the propaganda is making absolute no sense.
Making no sense.
Look at the authorities in place, the fake authorities, because everybody's fictional authority anyways, over anybody, or through a community or a country or whatever, the world or whatever you want to call it. The way they deliver it, it's flipping, flopping, and it's like here, it's there. They deliver it in total insanity. You look at in your country that you're in. Look at the people that are in power right now. You're going, how the hell did that person get there? Can't even remember their name or where they are or anything of that nature. And then the one next to it is more even sane than the other one. And the one after that is like you're looking at it and they go, you think there might be a message in all of this? Yes. So that you guys see it, so that you actually step in a position where you make the choice instead of just buying into whatever somebody else has provided you as oh, this is the way we need to go. Yeah, this is what the elections have said. This is whatever. It doesn't matter the corruption. Because the one thing, and I think we may have talked about it, I'm not sure, but I'll bring it up. There was the two choices back in the fall of last year, okay? Which, one was more favored than the other. However, on a collective scale, which one was going to be much more? Now, I'm not saying either one was organic 5D for sure. Absolutely, neither one of the choices were organic 5D. However, one was more on track with a clearer path, even though it was an older path, but it still was a clearer path, and so forth. But then there was the other option. Now, on a collective scale, it was made as a decision. Let's bring the most insane version into play. Because that way, it'd be more of such a polarity, such a chaoticness, such a ridiculousness that more and more people would catch on. More and more people would notice it.
It's designed to be that dramatic.
Yes.
So you notice the 5 and the 3.
Yes.
It's designed to be very dramatic.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's, that's something we've agreed upon and we're doing. And there's no mistake with the agreement. It's perfect. It gives us the opportunity to advance. Look at the advancements that we are making right now. Besides the energies coming in, besides the codes that are coming in, the portals and adjustments and whatever, look at the game. Like some people like to call it the shit show. But it's such a in our face that we getting to the point of, oh, really? Am I going to continue supporting this? What do I choose to experience? Look at how many people, even with this so-called lockdown and everything else that played out, how many people have reevaluated their direction of their life? Where they, am I going to drive every day an hour and a half to go to this little cubicle at the office or whatever? Am I going to play that game? Do I still want to live in the city? Do I still want to do this? Right? And go, something, I'm going to choose something different. And this is why there's so much changing right now. So even that, even if it makes absolutely no sense, because it doesn't, it's an opportunity. It's a wake up for a lot of people.
And so many levels, brother.
Yeah.
And so many levels. Galactically speaking, what do you think is, are we going to see the Federation coming in at some point? What is your thoughts on that, brother?
Well, they're involved very deeply. They're not intervening. The only allowance and permission they got was to make sure that we don't kill ourselves in a mass destruction of sorts.
Right.
Enough with chunks of it, that's fine. That's all they're allowed to do. However, they're also working with us to kind of stage it so that we gain more of the self-empowerment and the redirection and so forth within ourselves, because really it's up to us to do so. As for saying, oh, are they going to land on the planet? They made it very clear. They don't have to land. They can hover and they can, beam down, and which they are time to time, but they're not making it public because many people at this point in time would still react. And then there's still an agenda that would say, oh, they're here to kill us or do this or they'll take advantage of us and so forth. So yes, they do intend to interact with us much more coming along. But when is that going to happen? I have no idea at the moment, because they said it's still up in the air when, because of the fact that they're constantly monitoring the state of the planet. Will they be more consciously presenting in organic 5D once we ground it? Absolutely. So
you're saying by the end of 22 or by the end of 33? What?
Well,
like Friedley.
It's much more highly at the end of 2035.
2035, which is, we're going to be like almost in a Star Wars scenario we're gonna see ships going in and out.
Yeah, you would see more of that, lots of in and out with different species and so forth, most likely in 2040. So basically, we have about 19 years
Ahead of us.
ahead of us before we go back to our original design, which was for us to be a galactic hub where they'll come and go. The whole idea of coming on a ship, landing on the ground, and so forth, that's something they don't do. You have to understand, if they do that, it was more to appease some people. But in essence, they have the technology that they can beam right down and shapeshift and stuff like that, so that they don't scare the shit out of people. But they're among us already.
Oh yeah, of course.
They will at times drop in the extras.
They're dropping in the extras, exactly. Yeah.
A lot of times
that
they
makes
do.
a lot of sense. Since I understood that they were lining up and trying to see this Ascension. So what's a better opportunity to drop in an extra? Of course.
Yeah. And they do that, and then there are some souls that will, and I'm going to share this. There are some souls that say, hey, I'm going to leave for a little while, and they let one of the galactic beings come in, and navigate for a little while they're going in for an upgrade.
Guess what? I got a friend that is your friend from Canada that does that. I've done that several times.
There you go.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But I know I have a conversation with him, and he says, I'm friends with Franco. And I say, really? Yeah. He lives in Canada. He said, yeah. I allow some beings to come in and to take over in the meantime so they can, experience for a little bit. And then I get back into my avatar.
Yeah. So now that's very much doable, and it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more how can I say, more common of sorts. It's not like mass scale or anything, but it's even become more common. And it's awesome. This is the thing that's so great, Andres. We shift away from looking at what the world is projecting, and we start connecting with all of this other stuff, because really, what's the big scene? This is like a really amazing ride that we're on right now, and specifically now, and the potentials are unlimited. And I don't mean the perceived idea that I can teleport, I could do that. Yeah, that's minuscule in comparison to what we can do. But the thing is, you're going to bring that in or reactivate it whenever necessary. But what the thing is, the connections that we have are with our galactic brothers and other because there are people that are they're souls, they're multidimensional souls, says I'm done, and they just allow another multidimensional soul to come in. Sometimes even their human entity. That is less common. When I say less common, it's not as often it does that. But what ends up happening is another human entity will drop in that is a little bit more advanced. But so the drop-in part is, you can do a temporary drop-in, you can do more of a permanent drop-in, so there's a lot of that's changed quite a few years ago, more than a decade ago, or quite close to a decade ago. So there's more of that happening at this point in time. But each offering, each one that drops in, brings another beautiful energetic seed and consciousness and so forth. And then what does it do? It advances the body, advances the human entity, and advances every lineage connection that you have.
Absolutely. What a great times to be alive, brother, I'll tell you.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of people think as 2030, 2040, it's too far away. Hey, listen, we're going to get some technology that's going to allow us to live a little longer.
Well, thank you for bringing that up, because people don't realize that our bodies are designed to be on an average 1,000 years. Okay,
I believe
that's an average. We can push it right to 2,000. Okay, and it can go even beyond that if we wanted to push it further. That operating system was turned off, and then this other limited operating system got turned on that we need to age, deteriorate. You can be 900 years old and still be vibrant, healthy, no wrinkles,
Yep.
no ailments or anything like that. Illness is not part of our operating system. Aging is not part of our operating system. And the thing is too, a soul's not trapped, meaning that, okay, if the body can last 2,000 years and the soul only wants to be here for 200 years, that one can go leave, another one will come in. There's a lineup all the time. There's never a shortage, but for souls to drop in. So yeah, and as our energies increase, as our collective goes in, the reversal, which a lot of people are starting to notice, that there's an age reversal, that you're regenerating with these higher, highly, what do you call it, vibrational cellular structures within our bodies and so forth, so that the aging process starts to reverse, the ailments start to reverse, and eventually what ends up happening. So the point is, yes, once we are, so it might take until 2040, but once we're there, it's not going to be uncommon to be living hundreds and thousands of years.
Of course. We used to back in the day in Atlantis.
Yes.
And not even in Atlantis, actually, and before the
Atlantis, that was the Lemurians, yes.
Yeah. Well, before when Noah,
yes,
Enoch was 900 years when the flood arrived.
And they were having babies.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we're going back into the original blueprint. Absolutely.
Yes.
Brother, you think that this technology is definitely entitled to come out very soon, right?
Well, the technology is within us. The technologies that people are referring to is like the med beds and all of that stuff. That's technology that stimulates the technology. You cannot reverse anybody's age with technology. The technology will just awaken the technology that's already in you.
I see. It's just shifting your cassette.
Yes, and memories within the cellular structures and so forth. So that's all they do. They create a certain frequency. They take some part of your body that has still its original signature, a frequency or blueprint of sort, and then they just kind of transmit that throughout the whole body to stimulate all the other parts to go back on that. But then we also have the operating system. Oops, sorry.
To make you believe that you're all.
Yes.
And to make you believe that you need to exit very soon.
Yes. So that gets, we have the technology already within ourselves because that's our original design right from day one.
From day one, brother. Exciting times. And all this will be revealed. It's already been revealed. I mean, you're revealing it. Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of more people are realizing that. I know I've been talking about it for a few decades now, and a lot of people found that was crazy. But then there were a few people that kind of, that resonates. That plays, makes sense. And why does it resonate and why does it make sense? Because it's triggering your own memory and knowing. Because we all have the knowing. We all have that technology. We all have the memories of our original blueprint and design and so forth. And even that, we're not even going back to the original blueprint totally. It's the upgraded version of our original blueprint is what we're going into. Right. Because that original blueprint is 15,000 years old. And, there's been a lot of advancement, maybe not experienced on a physical plane on planet Earth, but it has been on a collective part when we're talking about, we have several collectives. We have our planetary collective, our solar collective, our galactic collective, and we have the universal collective, right? For each of those states before we even go into multiverses, so that as all of that has been upgrading, even our blueprint's been prepared to be upgraded too. So we're going through a restoration with an upgraded software.
Oh, absolutely. The more the planet is vibrating a higher density, the more we are going to be vibrating a higher density. So
Yes, exactly. I mean, we originally were playing in a higher density. It got lowered the density because it had to be lowered for us to have this inverted world experience. The need to eat, the need to have food chains, and the need to have violence or anything. I know a lot of. I keep hearing this still today these days where people say, well, human nature is violent, human nature is greedy, human nature wants to take advantage of other people, human nature wants power. No, that's not human nature. That is that inverted programming and conditioning that you're
right,
seeing. Human nature is loving, human nature is collaborative, cooperative.
true.
Human nature is creating flourishing, not survival. Human nature does not have a food chain or anything of that nature where everything is harmonious. Gaia is harmonious with us. The animal kingdom, the insect world, the reptiles, the
Yes,
birds,
yes,
all of it,
yes.
the oceanic they're not there to kill you. That was all in that inverted lower density that was plugged in. And then, of course, the program changes.
You can see it on the children. When we're kids, we're innocent. Where this is how and how loving we are.
Hmm.
When we're 1 year old, 2 years old, we love everybody. We enjoy everybody. We smile to everybody. This is how we are. It's the program that changes. It's
Exactly. Now, some of it we gain from the parents, and so that, but it's still small. It still has to be activated and experienced and conditioned and programmed. Kids do not see color, gender. A kid's a kid.
it's a
Oh,
good.
I got a playmate. Let me go play with the playmate. They don't look at, oh, how are you dressed? Oh, you're a girl and I'm a boy. You can't play with me. Oh, you have a different color. Your eyes are a little bit different. Heck no, they don't even pay attention to that. They don't even see it because it's not designed to see it. It's not this cultural stuff and all of this other what do they call it? What's the big thing now? That's all over the place. Uh, Not race. Is it race? No. Color. I don't know. Anyways, but that gets programmed and conditioned, and they're still programming. And guess what?
Right.
The programming that now there's a Black Lives Matter, this and that, and all of these crazy ideas. Where
Continue.
in our natural state, everybody's a playmate, everybody's a beautiful expression, and so forth. Let's go play, let's go do. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, well, you fit in that category, I fit in that category." Like you said, kids do not see that. A playmate's a playmate. Let's go have some fun. Let's go taste. Let's go touch. Let's go and die. Let's go do whatever.
Right. Correct. Yeah. I think you were trying to say they're not male or female. They're
Well, the transgenders, but
gender. Yeah.
yeah, but there's all this thing about blacks and whites, and there's the what is it? Race, not racist. Yeah, I guess racist, and there's a whole bunch of narratives now being pushed. You know,
It's
uh,
all horseshit. It's all horseshit, man.
yeah, exactly, and whoever buys into it gets caught up into it for a little while, but you realize that, hey, we're all the same, we're all different expressions, we're all equal. There's no better, no less than, or anything of that nature. Even our most advanced beings that we deal with, they make it very clear: we're not better than you, we're not more powerful than you. We have just different, we're just accessing and expressing a slightly different way, and if we share anything, we'll share it, but really you're the ones that actually unpack it. So they're not telling us how to live our lives or anything of that nature. They may just kind of trigger some of our memory and whatever else, or show an alternate view of things. But it's really us. They're learning from us all the time. Why did they monitor? Why did they get feedback? Why did they communicate with us? Because they don't have the same capacities to understand the human experience, unless, like you were saying earlier, somebody moves aside and says, okay, you want to drop in, and so you can get a feel for it. And this is why a lot of that is happening, so that they can learn, from us and be able to share with us and relate with us. But that's it.
Now, energetically speaking, brother, why is it it seems like a manifestation is easier now? Is
Oh,
this
of course.
because we are on this open platform that you're talking about?
Well, definitely the platform um, is what we call the open timeline, but
Right.
also we with the frequencies that have been increasing, and also the vibrational frequencies or the vibrations of the planet and so forth increasing, that
Right.
we have done, we're able to do that. And the other thing too, Andres, is that we also use the dream state to have experiences that normally would take a little bit more time to do it in what we call awakened state, or in this playground. So there's less not restrictions, what's the word, less framework that's rigid, so that
Right.
you can actually have whatever experience you choose to have, and be able to bring part of it in there, or use it as a simulation within ourselves to give us the opportunity to kind of work through.
To experience. Yeah.
We're using awakened state, we're using the sleep state, which we can go to dream state. Now the dream state's not always 100% dream state. A lot of times we're going into alternate realities, we're jumping into these parallel worlds, and having those experiences, and then whatever we register from that experience, we bring it into this experience, because this is where we're putting the main focus on. This is where the action is. There is your sampling, testing, and seeing your alternate versions of what you can do.
So Franco, Advanced Consciousness Series.
Advancing Consciousness Series, yes.
Yes, you still and you're still doing a chalkboard. You're continuing, just like the teacher. You're a great teacher, man. You're a great teacher.
Oh, thank you.
And I really want to invite everybody to log in into your website, which is right here in it's francodenicola.com, and to visit you and to take a look of all the series and download. Have the packages to go from the first video you have all the way. So where are you right now? And I wanted to ask you that, and I wanted to ask you, how do they go with my brother Todd Medina and Arizona and Sedona, right? I want to ask you that one too.
Yeah, we can cover that in a second.
Right.
So I have the Advancing Consciousness series, which is on YouTube. That's all it's called, Advancing Consciousness series. And I put a fresh live stream. I do a live stream every week. Tomorrow's the next one at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I do one a week. I was doing 2 and 3 a week, but then I started to reduce that. So the other one is Advancing Consciousness Podcast, which is also available on YouTube, but both are available also on Facebook. So I have a Facebook group called Advancing Consciousness Series, if you want to see it on Facebook, and Advancing Consciousness Podcast is also on Facebook. I post it on my personal page, my public page, and of course the Advancing Consciousness page, and then the YouTube channel. That is also available, so people can go see. The YouTube is the easiest because of the fact that they're all dated and labeled and so forth, so you can see them all. You just go on the videos and you can see them all. And of course, in the links, I usually have a description of what I'm going to be talking about. And now I've been doing a lot of Q&As, so I also time stamp them, so that they can, if they have a particular question that they want to look up, they just go there, click the time that they want to watch, and you go right to the question and answer process of that particular question. So that's available on of course the website. You have access to different, not only different channels, but also different programs, because I do have workshops that I have video and audio recordings available for. Those are tools that help people at this point in time on whatever you require. So I do them time to time, several a year for sure. So that's that for the content part, and the content's free. I mean, we're always open to receive contributions to support us for the work that we're doing. The podcast has been kind of a little behind, and I'm ramping that up again. So there's a lot of back-end stuff. Sorry, not back-end. I have a lot of them that are recorded, and I'm going to start putting them out there. And I'm going to be doing live stream podcasts too. They're shorter. The podcasts are shorter. They usually try to keep them all within the 30 minutes, 45 minutes, sometimes.
Cool.
The other ones can go up to 2 hours plus, but
right.
series itself. As for your question about how to go in Sedona, it was fantastic. Soulless Fest with Dodd. Um, a lot of beautiful people came along. It was, for me, it was amazing because I had not done a live event with
Right.
people, with people.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
I did live stream, live event since July, August of 2019. Okay. Because 2020, of course, everything shut down. We couldn't have live events anymore. In
Right, right, right.
2021, I hadn't done any live events either. And we're still, things are starting to open up, but, to have any group is still very limited. So to go there, and not only this, we here, it's so locked, so restricted. Everything has been closed until just recently, and not everything is open yet to full tilt. All the stores were closed, malls were closed. I mean, the only thing that was open is drugstores, grocery stores, liquor store, of course. Um, some convenience shops and so forth. You have to wear the masks and go through all the sanitation stuff and so forth. But restaurants, only takeout, curbside, whatever, that's all there was. You could not sit down, go in or outside. None of that was available. Everything was closed down. So those are starting to open up now. So when I went there, as soon as I arrived to Sedona, of course, hardly anyone at all is wearing masks. There are no restrictions. You can go sit down, eat at a restaurant. You can go to stores. You can do, go. To me, it was like, oh, freedom, no mask, no restriction. But the beautiful part is we ended up having a beautiful event. We had about 85 people there or so, roughly. And besides the people that got online, but it was so nice to hug, to be around people, to be able to speak in front. And it was just like, I was in, my heaven state. It was just like, this is cool. And we ended up extending it because we went there for originally 8 days. And then we ended up staying 15 days total. So we extended it.
Oh, that's so much fun.
Yes, I wasn't looking forward to come back because coming back here, of course, I found some loopholes to not be hotel quarantined. So, but we still had to quarantine for 14 days, go through all the tests and stuff, and have people showing up at your door with medical things saying, "Okay, we're checking on you," and you have to show that you're them, and send in a report every single day for the 14 days, do 2 COVID tests or PCRs. During that period of time, and as long as it was negative, you can finish off at the 14 days. But we found ways so that we didn't have to be we did lock down for the 14 days, but at the same time not. So yeah, coming back was a bit of a reality shock of sorts, but
yeah,
it was so great. I was going, if we could stay here longer, it would be nice, but of course we had to come back. We had other obligations to take care of. But, it was fantastic. It was great. I look forward to getting back to traveling and having live events again and more of it.
Good, Franco. I love that. Now that you're saying that, yesterday, this weekend, I watched 2 finals talking about soccer.
Right.
Argentina, Brazil, in Brazil, and no Orients. They just let probably 100 people of the Argentinian side and 100 people from the Brazilian side. When this is the Maracanã, is the biggest stadium in Brazil. And then I watched, which I was thinking, oh my Lord, Argentina, Brazil, and they're not going to let anybody in. I'm like, what a waste.
Yep.
And then, oh my God, monetarily speaking, what a waste for the emotion. Having the Maracanã completely full, able to change the story.
Absolutely.
It probably would have, maybe Argentina won on PKs, but no, I'm sorry, won 1-0, not on PKs. The PKs was the other one, England versus Italy. But, and then I watched Wimbledon, what England versus Italy, and a full stadium, right? So England will have all the supports for all the support on the crowd. The crowd was, and it just felt normal. I was like, oh my God, what a difference. But Argentina, Brazil, no people. That breaks my heart for the, because, I'm a soccer guy, and this, for the soccer community, was like, what a shame. Nobody in the stadium.
Yeah, you know, the thing is, it's very different. I know from my own personal experience, but I've seen it before, and I'm sure you can relate with it. When there's people in the stadium, real people in the stadium, it's a whole different energy. The players feel better.
Oh, yeah.
There's like a there's a real powerful dynamics that happens versus like, oh, a bunch of cameras there and a handful of people here and there. It's completely different. And I notice, even like I do live stream, and I connect with the camera because I look in the camera and I kind of connect with the people. But it's a total difference when you have live people in front of you, and
Oh,
you like your energy lights up. You could see people's expressions. There's a beautiful dance that happens that's even more powerful than anything you can do online. It's different.
oh, absolutely. And we can see it on the finals of the basketball right now with the Milwaukee and the and Phoenix. They're playing right now. They're playing Milwaukee, I think yesterday. Stadium was full, and they won. Milwaukee was actually going. They lost the first two games, but they're coming back and won one, which that's my favorite right now, Milwaukee. So, I think. But anyways, that we're just gonna leave it on the side. And Franco, anything else before we get out of here? And we wanted to wrap things up, telling something that you want to tell the public.
Well, a lot of times people ask me the question, are we on track?
Yeah,
And what I can say is yes, and we are driving the track. The one thing we want to keep in mind is that the people that are active, the people that are using their higher consciousness and are actually steering it more than the old dominant sleepers, if you want to call it that, of any sort. So a lot of people say, well, look, people are waking up. Yes, but it's still a small number in comparison.
right.
You have to understand that the ones that are more active and more conscious and more using their higher frequencies of themselves, and they're playing in the higher vibration, they're actually much more impactful how the collective shapes. So don't feel disheartened, because that's another illusion, another projection that, oh, the numbers are still against us. No, it's not an equal. Higher vibration is extremely much more powerful by 20,000 points to the low vibration. And the organic matrix will take more of your input at a higher vibration than the massive amount of input at the lower vibration.
Right.
So don't get caught up in the fact, oh, look at all that. Then the other thing we want to keep in mind, as much as there's 7.7 billion people, there are not 7.7 billion people active at once.
Right. Correct.
Okay? They're not. They come on and off, specifically the extras, as they're required wherever they are. So is the planet ever with 7.7 billion? No. There's 7.7 points of interest that activate as they're required.
There you go. Yeah. That's when they need to bring the balance. That's when they kick in.
Correct.
Absolutely.
You've
Well,
probably seen it, people appear and disappear. It's like, where was that person?
it's true. It's true. See, I thought that because of these fake timelines, a lot of extras went away with those fake timelines.
Well, a lot of them are not active. Yeah, absolutely. So we don't have that many. We have 64% of points of interest, points of potentialities that come and go at different times. But they're if you had to look at, if you were able to monitor and see everybody on the planet, you'll see that there's not that many active points of interest at once, at the same time.
Correct. Franco, it's always a pleasure to have you and Tales from the Ship, brother. And thank you for taking your time I'm going to invite everybody to please go and register Franco's workshops, guys. Go and learn, because I learn every time Franco's here. I learn so much stuff. And tomorrow you have you said tomorrow you're on.
Yeah, 4 p.m. Eastern time, another episode of Advancing Consciousness series.
Advancing Consciousness series, and you're going to be on Facebook and YouTube at the same time.
Correct. Yes,
correct.
Yeah, I multi-stream like you. I
invite everybody on Tales from the Ship to join in. All right, brother. Thank you so much.
I also stream to your 144 club.
Oh yes. Well, Franco is part of the group on my group. Absolutely. Keep an eye. You can always set up your phone or your tablet just for a reminder when he's on. You can put it in your settings, and so you know when he's on. That's what I do too. All right. So Franco, thank you so much. Happy birthday to your daughter, and enjoy Canada and Toronto. You're in Toronto, right?
Right. Yes.
Right. How's the weather right now?
It's a little cloudy, but it's warmer. So yeah. It's this is the hottest month of the year, even though compared to other places, not all that hot. But
absolutely. I got to tell you, this video people is gonna watch over and over. I'm gonna watch it at least. My goal is 10 times. Today is first, so I can start really learning more. So enjoy yourself, enjoy the day. Thank you, Franco. I'll see you next time at Tales from the Ship. Okay.
Thank you.
And for everybody, I see you guys on the ship. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye, Franco.